Well, good morning. It is good to be with you this morning. I love journeys. In fact, there's a rock band from my era called Journey. And so I love Journey. I love being on a journey. Val and I were talking just the other night about the different trips that we've taken particularly on the motorcycle. We've been a lot of places. When I'm planning a journey, particularly on the motorcycle, I will start planning that journey 6 months in advance. I start driving Viola crazy with that. I don't use GPS. I've got a GPS on the motorcycle and I haven't figured out how to use it yet. I have a GPS on the phone. Viola has one on her phone, and she's the one. I drive and she navigates. But I love being on a journey. Invariably, and I'm sure some of you have experienced this as well, invariably on a journey, on a trip, you run into detours, you run into obstacles, you run into road construction, many things. Some things unexpected. Twice now on a trip, we ended up in Charleston, South Carolina. We went to visit a hospital there. And the second time was in Rapid City, Iowa. And Viola left her gallbladder there. So there's detours, there's all kinds of things that happen unexpectedly on a journey. Some good, some bad. Some that are life-changing. Some that are not. But still they're an experience. That's what I want to talk to you about this morning. Turn with me, please, to Genesis chapter 50. Genesis chapter 50. And we'll begin reading at verse 15, reading through verse 21. Genesis chapter 50, beginning at verse 15, reading through verse 21. When Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, "What if Joseph holds a grudge against us and pays us back for all the wrongs we did to him?" So they sent word to Joseph. This is a lie now. They sent word to Joseph saying, "Your father left these instructions before he died. This is what you are to say to Joseph. I ask you to forgive your brothers the sins and the wrongs they committed in treating you so badly. Now please forgive the sins of the servants of the God of your father." When their message came to Joseph, Joseph wept. His brothers then came and threw themselves down before him. "We are your slaves," they said. And Joseph said to them, "Don't be afraid. Listen now. I am in the place of God. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. So then, don't be afraid. I will provide for you and your children." And he reassured them and spoke kindly to them. This morning, lessons from one man's journey. Let's pray. Father, I thank you for your word, because your word is true. Your word impacts our lives if we will allow it to. Your Spirit speaks to us through your word, and your word challenges us, but it also comforts us and renews us as well. I pray, God, now that you would speak through your word principles that we might take from this place, apply them this week, this very day, to our lives. It's in Jesus' name that I pray. Amen. Life is full of questions. Probably, for most of us, more questions than answers. We wrestle with confusion. We wrestle with delay. We wrestle with heartbreak. We wrestle with moments that simply don't make sense. In the book of Genesis, we encounter a man called Joseph, and you're familiar with this story. And he encounters many of the times that I just mentioned. Times of confusion, times of heartbreak, times of wondering what in the world is going on in his life. Falsely betrayed by his brothers. Sold into slavery. Falsely accused. And thrown into prison. All while doing absolutely nothing to deserve what he got. Can you imagine being betrayed by your own family? Being betrayed by your own brothers, digging a pit, planning it out, plotting it out because of their jealousy of him, throwing him in a pit, thinking that that would work, and it didn't. They saw a caravan coming by, and they had another idea. We'll sell him into slavery, and he'll never show his face again. Your own brother's doing that. Minding his own business in Potiphar's house, and then being falsely accused by Potiphar's wife. For years, Joseph had every reason in the world to ask, why is this happening to me? What in the world is going on? Why, God, are you doing this to me? I've done nothing to deserve this. But then, over time, progressively, slowly, step by slow step, circumstances would begin to ultimately bring Joseph to a place of prominence in a palace. I want to zero in this morning on verse 50. Verse 50 says, as Joseph and his brothers were confronted with each other, and at first they didn't recognize Joseph, knowing what they had done, knowing all the years that had passed, and knowing that he now held basically their lives in his hands, they approached him with fear and trepidation. And they pleaded with Joseph. In fact, lied yet once again, saying something to Joseph, telling Joseph that their father had said something that he actually had not said. All because they were afraid of him. So I want to zero in on verse 50. Joseph said to them, after all that had happened to him, after all the stuff that had happened to him, he said to his brothers, you thought evil against me, but God meant it for good. It's one thing to say those words. It's one thing to read those words. How many times have you and I read the words from Paul? All things work together for good to them who love the Lord, to them who are called according to his purpose. And we read it and we read it and we can quote it and we can read it. And yet when it starts happening to us, stuff that we don't understand, stuff that we can't comprehend, it takes on a whole different meaning. So I wonder then what we can learn from Joseph's journey that we can apply to our own lives. What principles could possibly come from Joseph's life and his life experiences that we could apply to ourselves? I want to list 4. Number 1. Faith grows through a fog. Faith grows in a fog. I remember, this has been several years ago, Viola and I were on a bike trip and we had gone up to Glacier National Park. And there's a road called Road to the Sun. And if you've never been on that road, it is a beautiful, beautiful ride. And you're going switchbacks up the mountain, and it's called Road to the Sun for that reason. You can't see the sun until you top the mountain. Beautiful, beautiful ride. The day that we went up there, we got to the top, and a fog had set in, and I mean a fog had set in. We couldn't see but just a few feet in front of us. In fact, it was so thick that I had to stand up on the foot pegs of the bike and look over the windshield, and Viola sitting behind me had to guide me right and left, only she wasn't saying right and left. She would say this way, that way, behind me. There was animals, I think there were mountain goats, something like that up there. I mean, there was a big old herd. And on a bike, you're very vulnerable, so you don't know what's coming at you. We couldn't see but just a few feet in front of us. And so here we go. I'm standing up, looking, trying to guide ourselves down the mountain until we got to a place where the fog had dissipated. It was scary. It's difficult to see in a fog. You almost have to trust in your own instincts. Solomon says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will, he will direct your path. Direct your path. When you can't see with clarity what's up ahead, when you can't see with clarity what's going to happen next, when it's all simply a fog and nothing makes sense, nothing you believe makes sense, nothing you've held to makes any sense, it's all a fog, trust in the Lord with all your heart. And don't lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him. And when you do that, the promise is he will then direct your path. Now, he will give you a choice. I could have said that day on the mountain, I could have said, you know what, I got this. Boom. I got this. Don't you worry, Viola, I got it. Couldn't see anything on the windshield, couldn't see anything. But I got it, the guy thing. I didn't trust my own instincts even at that point. Faith grows in a fog. How many times have you and I said, I just want to grow in my faith. I just want to trust the Lord more. Well, how do you think that happens on a day like today? Sunshine? Clear blue sky kind of day? No. It happens in a fog. When everything around you seems to close in and you can barely see your own hand in front of your face and you don't know which way to turn, whether to go forward or go backward, to the right or to the left. Faith grows in a fog. Second, the second principle that I think we can glean from Joseph's life is that delay doesn't mean denial. Delay doesn't mean I hate delays. I hate delays. The other night when this latest storm came through, so we have at our home, we have Dish, and then satellite, and then we've got Starlink. And if there's a storm and Dish goes out, you get that little message, hey, you can watch DVR. I don't want to watch DVR. I want to watch a program. Well, that night, Dish went out and it flipped over to Starlink. Hot dog, we're set. And the rain got so heavy at our house that Starlink got interrupted. I wanted to pick up the phone and call Elon and say, hey, there will be a delay. I'm sure you've been to a ball game and there's a rain delay or some kind of a delay. We have Amazon Prime. Yeah. And when they say next day, I take them at their word next day. Actually, I'm one of those kind of guys that I'm looking for it like in a couple hours. Come on, get it here. And then you get the email that says there's been an adjustment to your order. Yeah, we've got a package in Kansas City somewhere that's been sitting there for a couple of years. We still don't know where it's at. Delay. Delay, however, doesn't mean denial. Can you imagine what you and I would not have learned had Joseph gone from the pit, if you will, all the way to the palace? We would have not seen anything of Joseph's life. Just boom. See, delay provides an opportunity for self-inventory. It provides us an opportunity just to stop and take a breath and take inventory of where we're at. And there's always three questions in this time of delay. What is God trying to say to me about me? What is God trying to say to me about Him? And what is God trying to say to me about me and Him? Delays are for a purpose. Viola and I have tried to get out to West Virginia for 2 or 3 years now. Haven't made it yet. Delay. This year I said, well, maybe we're just not meant to go to West Virginia. Don't know why. The other trips we were delayed on. Had to turn around and come home. We've learned not to question that. But it doesn't mean denial. It just means not now. Not now. So it offers us an opportunity for self-inventory, but it also offers us or provides for us an opportunity to test our perseverance. How are you when things get tough? Viola and I have this deal that we've worked out, I don't know how many years, that when we get something and it's got to be put together, she reads the instructions and then I follow those instructions. Yesterday, we put together a chair, a new office chair, in 45 minutes. It was a beautiful kind of thing. Now, typically, if I was doing that myself, I would have given up and gone looked YouTube up and figured it out. Perseverance, hanging in there, staying with it, not giving up. How many times has there been something, whatever the something is, and you've almost gotten there, but you just run out of strength, you run out of desire, and you give up? Wonder what would have happened if Joseph would have just given up and say, Uncle, I give up, God. I'm not going to try anymore. This is my life. This is it. I'm going to be in prison the rest of my life. This is it. I'm going to die here in this pit. This is it. I'm always going to be a slave. No. He depended on the faithfulness of God. Delay also provides an opportunity for us to gain a deeper awareness of the character of God. See, God, this is hard now. God is not interested in our relief. He's interested in producing character in us. And that doesn't happen during the easy times. Anybody can do the easy times. It's during the hard times, the difficult times, things we don't understand, things that, where's this come from? So it's an opportunity for us to develop our character, our own character, but it's also an opportunity to get to know His character even deeper. Believing on a deeper level that He is a loving, compassionate, caring God. And that when He says something, He means it. When He says something like, I will never leave you and I will never forsake you, He means it. When He says, I am the same yesterday, today, and forever, He means it. He never changes. Do you realize that you and I change on a day-to-day basis? We're not the same person today that we were yesterday, and we'll not be the same person tomorrow that we are today. But He never changes. So we get to know Him on a deeper level. Delay then doesn't mean denial. It just means not now. Third, God is always working even when it's not obvious. God is working even when it's not obvious. For as long as I could remember, going back to when I was just a kid. I wanted to join the Air Force. And when I got old enough to do that, it was during the Vietnam War. I went and got all the testing done and all that stuff, and I had bad eyes, and they said nope. Well, I wasn't satisfied with that. My first love was the Air Force. They said no, so I'll go to the Marines. Marines said no. I'll go to the Navy. I hate water, but I'll go to the Navy. They said no. I was told to try out the Army because the Army will take anybody. So I tried out the Army. They said no. 1972, my family moved from Ellisville to just outside of Cuba. One day, my brother and I were going into town, and there was this lady on the side of the road with a flat tire. Not knowing who she was or anything, we stopped and put the spare on, and she went on her way, and we went on our way and didn't think anything more about it. I was dating at that time. Had my plans, I had to reroute my plans because I couldn't get in the military. A few months later, I was working at what was then Paramount Cap Factory. And this person that I was trying to date, trying to get her to go out on a date, told me about this girl that she knew that was a good friend of hers that she would be glad to set me up with. I was too dumb to know at the time what that meant. And so she did. Come to find out, it was the daughter of the person that we fixed the tire up, that lived just down the road from us. Started dating, ended up marrying her. Been married for 51 years now. Then God began to do a work in me and called me to ministry. I went to college and was preparing for pulpit ministry to pastor. I did that. Went to seminary. Didn't complete seminary, but changed and got a degree in counseling. And here I am. I'm not fighting a war, but I'm fighting a war. I'm not in the military, but I'm suited up. God's always working over here. Where we can't see it, where we can't feel it, where we can't smell it, but He's working. Just like He was working behind the scenes with Joseph. He was falsely accused by Potiphar's wife, thrown into prison, became friends with a prison warden that led him. All because God was working over here. Paul teaches us to walk by faith, not by, let me put it in my own vernacular. Are you going to believe what you see? Or are you going to believe what I say? Walk by faith, not by sight. You going to believe what you see, or are you going to believe what I say? Oh. Always working over here. We can't always hear it. We can't always see it. But he's working. He's preparing lives. I had no idea that Viola lived where she lived. Had no idea. Didn't know she existed. She went to Bourbon. I went to the good school, Cuba. Had no idea. Notice I'm not looking at her right now. Walk by faith, not by sight. You're going to believe what you see. You're going to believe what I say. Don't you think it's the height of arrogance for us to believe or to think that God should be on our timetable? That somehow he should serve us when we want him to? It's not the way it works. Moses served as a shepherd for 40 years while God was working over here. God was preparing him, but God was working over here. God's always working behind the scenes. Number 4. And this is a hard one. There is purpose in your pain. There's purpose in your pain. I don't like pain. I hate pain. But when I feel pain in my body, it's telling me that something's wrong somewhere. Joseph was betrayed and rejected by his family. No one should ever have to experience that. But we can look at Joseph's life now and get a sense of what that must have been like. Every hardship that he went through, everything that he went through had a purpose. God was molding and shaping and fashioning. God was using all of what happened to him to mold him into the leader that he would become. Without the pit, without the prison, without the betrayal, Joseph would have never, ever reached the palace. It was the way that God had chosen for him. I'm sure he didn't like it. I'm sure if he was standing before us today, he would tell you, I didn't like any of it, but I see the purpose of it. When you and I look back on the experiences of our life, when we look back on that, we can see every step of the way. We can see how God has moved, how God has blessed, how God has used this situation, this person, that person, to lead us to the point where we are now. I tell people that come into my office, for a believer, nothing happens by accident. It's not fate. It's not just on a certain sign of the moon. Nothing for a believer happens by accident. And so it was with Joseph. Nothing happened by accident. Through each hardship that he experienced, Joseph became stronger and stronger and stronger in his faith and in his reliance upon God every step of the way. And so it is with you. And so it is with me. Every step, God is teaching us something. Every journey, every step of our journey, He's teaching us something. You know, whenever, whether it's Viola and I or just me riding with some guys, riding with our group, yeah, we're going to a certain place, a certain destination, but that's not the fun part. The fun part is the experience on getting there. Every stop we would make, we would sit around and talk about the miles that we just came and what we experienced, and man, it was hot, or man, it was cold, or whatever the situation might have been. And that's the way it is with us. Every step has a story. Every person that we encounter, we have a story to tell. There's an old hymn we used to sing that simply says, "Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus but to trust and obey." When things are confusing, when things are out of balance, when things don't make any sense whatsoever, think about Joseph's journey and think about the principles that we've just talked about today. That the primary way in which our faith grows is in a fog, when nothing makes sense, when we feel trapped, when we feel alone, when we feel like there's no answer. God is always saying, I'm right here, walking each step with you on your journey. From one man, we learn so many lessons about our journey. For you see, his journey is our journey. His story is our story. His blessings are our blessings. His walk with God is our walk with God. Detours? Yep. Obstacles? Yep. Delays? Yep. But through it all, I will never leave you, and I will never forsake you. He's with you and I every step of our journey.